Well, we're talking about La Peña, which is a music series that took place on Wednesday nights, not all year, but during a couple of seasons a year, from about '96 through the time I left, and then some. Was continued by my successor, Mateo Mulcahy. The La Peña was a strategy that was a continuation of some work that the Old Town School had been doing for a long time. If we go back to the very founding of the school, in was it 1957? 1957. The school was already pretty diverse, very attuned to the ethnic diversity of the city. Of course, Bill Brunzi was involved with the founders. Ella Jenkins was there. There was a Brazilian woman named Valusha. She was a student, but very much involved, and she performed, etc. And I think back in those days, if you listen to the type of material that Pete Seeger had in his repertoire, you can see that he was interested in South African music. He was interested in Latin American, Cuban music, Guantanamera, of course, and I think that was the environment where the Old Town School emerged. As the school evolved, and the school moved to this location on Armitage Avenue. This was a Puerto Rican neighborhood at that time, and there was also a number of there's some records of celebrations of Christmas at the Old Town School with a neighboring restaurant that they would do posadas and songs in Spanish. And there's a few photos. We don't know the names of the people performing, but there was Latino involvement already. During the 70s, and after the founders moved on, there was a period of time where there seemed to be more of a retrenching of American folk music and a loss of contact with the diversity of the city. And the school went through a period, I think probably about 10, 12 years of reverting to sort of a core Americana, or before it was called Americana then. In the 80s, Jim Hirsch took over the institution. He was a guitar teacher, and he had some new ideas. The school was going through some financial troubles, and one of his ideas, and that led to my coming here eventually, was the need to diversify the school again, to become relevant in all the neighborhoods of the city. So immediately they started booking blues festivals. They had Willie Dixon. They had an annual blues concert, I think. They also started doing music from different parts of the world. They began a Latin music festival, probably around 82 or 83. Which was mostly an annual thing. They may have done two in 1 year, but it was an annual thing that took place over a number of weekends a year, and they brought artists from Latin America, and they were very successful at bringing a Latino audience. One thing they did differently than other presenters, and I think they did well, was attracting non-Mexican Latinos. Chicago is about 80% 80% Mexican, and about 20% others. very overwhelmingly Mexican. So a lot of the programming, geared to the Mexican community, to the Latino community, was Mexican. And I think the other communities kind of resented that they were ignored. And the Old Town School was advised by some people that brought, Puerto Rican groups. I know that Bill Zayas was involved. He was a Puerto Rican professor. There was Alisa Becker, who was connected with the Raíces del Ande. It was an Andean group, so they brought South America. So they had an opportunity to bring some artists from South America. And the Old Town School was like probably the only game in town for like non-Mexican Latinos. Of course, they presented a lot of Latino and Mexican artists as well, but there was a balance that no one else was doing. And I noted that, when I first arrived. They also, during the interview process, they warned me like, okay, you may be a Mexican heritage, but we don't want to, just go for the numbers. We want to gain that diversity even within the Latino community.